What's up, guys? Should you play Dead Cells? That's the question I'm going to answer today. This is going to be a new format for the channel where I'm going to look at a game and kind of play along with you guys, maybe edit it afterwards so it's not just one chunk of gameplay, and then give you my recommendations. And this is going to allow me to cover, hopefully, more games in the future, especially games that I wouldn't normally cover, aka indie games and stuff like that. So today we're going to look at Dead Cells. Dead Cells came out in early access, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and it has come out and surfaced from the purgatory of Steam's early access graveyard, thank God. Many games actually don't get that far. I'm happy to report that Dead Cells is coming out and it's going to be fully released in a few days. I'll post the exact date on the screen right now. But you can pick it up for, I believe it's $25. And long story short, it's a fantastic game and one of my favorite indie games, pretty much of all time. And I'm going to show you guys why. So let's go ahead and go into Dead Cells. So Dead Cells is a Metroidvania game. It's kind of a cross between a roguelike game and a maze-like game where you basically play as this character here and you need to find your way through various levels, fight enemies, and hopefully not die. So you're granted a starting bow or starting shield at the beginning of the game, and you can choose which one you like. I like to roll with the bow. One of the first things you'll notice about Dead Cells is that the tunes are rocking and that the atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. It's got a great art style. Reminds me very much of Castlevania, go figure. And it's got a very dark and brooding atmosphere at that. This vine here allows me to climb and access new areas, and you'll unlock the ability to use that vine as you play through the game. You'll also notice that some areas in the game are locked off until you get various talents, and that's very reminiscent of Metroidvania games. There is a wall running mechanic that I do not have yet, and we may come across an area that requires me to do a wall jump to get to the next area. You'll have to find it though. So this here is the next area, and how levels are designed in Dead Cells is that there are branching paths. And this is the starting area here, and there's a few different ways you can play through the game. One of them is to go to the sewers. You can also traverse the rest of the level using these teleporters, which has a kick-ass animation, and you would want to do that to find new items, such as this, the Balanced Blade. It's got a DPS runner on the top, so you can compare the different items. I think we'll take this one. So you can either progress through the game as fast as humanly possible, aka speed running it, and there are various benefits for doing so. You can unlock new areas a little bit faster and access timed gates by doing so. Or you can do what I'm going to try to do, which is explore every nook and cranny of the levels using these teleporters here, like I said. This will allow you to find chests like this, shops, get different items, an electric whip. This is a really, really cool weapon. I'm glad we picked this up. And just for the record, the various runs you'll do in a game like this, and yes, this is definitely a run-based game, will give you different items and different things to play with and goodies, and they call them tactics in this game, depending on what run you're in. So no run will ever be the same. Although the problem with a game like Dead Cells, the only thing I've kind of noticed that I don't really like too much is that, well, this whip is kind of weak, is that there is quite a bit of structured procedural generation, and I think this is one of the things you really can't get away from in a game like this. In order to have a lot of diversity, you've got to make things procedurally generated. You can't really hand make everything, right? The downside to that is that you'll find that a lot of the areas are pretty similar, and the only distinction they have is item placements, enemy placements, and the general structure of the map itself. For the most part, I would say that Dead Cells does a pretty good job of varying up the environments depending on playthrough, but honestly, the thing you can't get around is the fact that it's going to feel kind of samey no matter which run you are in. And like I said, you really can't get away from that because they do rely on procedural generation. It's not a bad thing. In fact, the design of these levels is actually really good and they flow really well. You will come across lots of different areas that feel oddly reminiscent of what you've trekked through in the past. Not a bad thing, but just something to note. So this is a shop here where you can spend your gold, and on the bottom right of the screen you can see my gold count is 7,500. You lose all your gold when you die. However, there is comeback mechanics called the recycle mode, where if you upgrade that ability, you can make sure that when you die, you start with a certain gold amount that you had before. But you do generally want to spend the gold you have. And I'm thinking this nutcracker looks pretty good. It's a giant hammer, but it's a bit slow. I think this one, the twin daggers, looks pretty good. Every single item here in green has some sort of ancillary effect, and these do vary even if the items are the same, which kind of has a nice distinguishing factor so that every item that's the same is not actually the same. They're quite different. So this one shoots an arrow in front of me for 46 damage, and I kind of like that. I was feeling the whip to be a little bit weak, so we'll roll with the twin daggers, and we'll try to kind of make sure we explore all that this area has, because dying in this game absolutely sucks. It sure is convenient finding all these messages on the walls. Things are pretty cryptic in this game. You're not exactly sure what's going on for a long time. There are gates here that you can pay tribute to unlock additional items, and you can carry up to 4 items. Primary weapon on your X button if you're using an Xbox pad like I am right now. A primary weapon on the Y button as well, which is my bow, which has limited ammunition. And you can also carry 2 tertiary items on the triggers: grenades, traps, frost bolts, fireballs, things like that. So when you get to a new area like this one, you basically have to spend the cells you collect along your way, indicated by that blue icon on the bottom right of your screen. You can see it's at 7 right now. And you go up here to this guy and he'll ask you to spend your cells. And these items here are permanent upgrades that you will get regardless if you die. And I've been working on this one here called the random starter bow because I really like bows. And in order to get it, I need to pay tributes 4 more cells. So we'll do that right now. So we've upgraded our random starter bow, and we've got 3 cells left, and these are required to proceed. You have to actually spend these cells before you move on to the next area. You also choose temporary mutations, and these are not permanent. You'll choose these every single run. And I really like the combo mechanic, which is getting a flurry of DPS after you kill an enemy. So that's pretty nice. We'll go with brutality, or combo that is. Also fill up your potions, and the potion mechanic in Dead Cells is really special. It's very much similar to Dark Souls. You've got to basically answer a question. Do you want to use your potion, or 2 potions, depending on if you upgrade them or not, efficiently or to survive? You will not be able to maximize the efficiency of each dose if you want to survive sometimes, so you're forced to use, your potions in tricky situations if you want to make it out alive. And you won't always be able to top yourself off completely. So these are speedrunning gates, and if I was here 3 minutes and 17 seconds ago, I could have actually gone through this gate here and they would have gotten me some rewards. So speedrunning is definitely a thing in this game, if you choose to do it, but we're just trying to survive here. The great thing about Dead Cells is that the movement system and the combat, as well as the animation system, is absolutely bananas great. You can animation cancel your attacks to dodge and roll, which is really nice. You can animation cancel your attacks to jump. So you always feel in control, and it just feels really, really great. If you haven't played Dead Cells yet, I would encourage you to give it a shot because it just feels fantastic. And for a linear platformer like this, or a Metroidvania game, it's really important that the game feels really clean. And ooh, a Rapier 2L. I've never had this one before. It's the first time I've actually used this one. Really cool. There's a lot of cool items in this game. I got really lucky getting that. There are giant hammers, there are whips, there are throwing knives, there are rapiers, swords, double swords. There's a giant lance I think you can get. And each item you get in weapon has a weapon level. So as you can see here, this was a Twin Daggers 2, and I upgraded that to take advantage of a higher DPS. And as you proceed through the game, you'll get higher and higher level weapons, higher and higher level items, grenades, traps, and stuff like that. So it has a really good progressive feel to it. I always feel like I'm working towards something in Dead Cells. Just a really, really fun game, and a game that I would argue that you can play with your girlfriend, your family, your friends. There is also a double jump mechanic, in addition to a parry mechanic if you have a shield. So there are little intricacies built into the combat system once you get familiar with it. Just feels fantastic, man. I love it. You always know where to jump, where you can jump, where you cannot jump. This was a problem with early Castlevania games that Castlevania 4 actually solved pretty well by introducing multi-layer foreground-background design. Dead Cells takes advantage of this, and yeah, you're always feeling like you're in control. Whoa! Wow, okay. As you can see in this game, you can die really, really fast. And once you die, like I said, you start all over and you start another run. We gotta get away from those creepy mosquitoes. Again, another scroll that we will decide which we want to do. And how you decide what you want to do is based off of what color coding your items are under, as I was saying earlier. And we'll proceed. So it has a nice little mini-map. You always know exactly where you're at. Icons everywhere, teleporters everywhere. So this guy here is, if I had talked to him in a prior level, he would have given me like a side quest to find some sort of rune or something like that. I did not find him earlier, so I cannot accept the quest right now or proceed with the quest. Oh, yeah, I was just not ready for that. So basically I died and I lose all my items and I lose up until the point of my gold reserves, which is I think 6,000 gold. I lose the cells I had as well. And basically, you spawn right here, pick up your dead man's bag, that's the only gold I had left, and you start another run. And this is basically the gameplay loop for Dead Cells. Traditionally, you'd want to get a little farther than I did, but sometimes you run into nasty situations like that, and you die. It's kind of how it goes. Dead Cells has gone through a lot of changes through its early access run. I'm not too familiar with much of those patches, or many of those patches, but many of them focus on the speedrunning mechanics. So maybe someone in the chat can talk to us about what the changes have been and tell us if they've been good or bad. I know a lot of them have been quite controversial for the veteran speedrunners out there. One of the other things that I would say will be questionable for your enjoyment for Dead Cells is there is a certain amount of RNG involved, and that could be good or bad. You'll often have a run where you get a really nice weapon earlier, like I did with my first run in that rapier. And then you'll get a run where you don't really find much, and you get some kind of crappy items, kind of poopy items. Kind of like this run, and it's not as fun. Take this teleporter, kick out of here. Just a really nice flow when you play this game. You can really go pretty fast. Everything feels very fluid. Rolling is your best friend, I found. Okay, so we killed that elite enemy. We got ourselves a new amulet, which is just an inventory item that you can get various bonuses from. So we'll put that on. Really awesome music as well. In fact, the entire soundtrack and sound design of Dead Cells is fantastic. So this is an area where it's clear that I cannot go up here because I don't have the wall jumping item ability. You know, one of those classic come back later designs. I would say that Dead Cells is one of my top 10 indie games of all time. You know, it's got its problems. A bit repetitive from time to time. It can kind of suck to die and restart the entire journey over again. Although there is mechanics put in place to advocate for some permanency, but you know, still, it can suck to play a run for 40 minutes and then have to start over. It's just inherent in the roguelite subgenre. But other than that, 100% recommend this game. Feels good, looks good, really fun playing. Not much bad about the game at all. One of the concerns for Dead Cells for a long time, or I guess any early access game, was, is this game actually going to come out of early access? If you like these types of games, it's a fantastic little experience. It's not going to give you, 40 hours of centralized gameplay, but what it will give you is plenty of roguelike experiences and adventures if you don't mind replaying the same areas over and over and over. Because obviously you're going to die more during the latter half of the game, therefore having to replay the earlier half of the game more to get back to where you were. So there's definitely repetition involved. Thankfully the game does do a pretty good job of randomizing where the enemies are, where the chests are, where the scrolls are. Like this one. Ooh. Wow. Holy moly guacamole. That is a sword. Gotta dodge that fire. Gotta dodge the melee. Alright, so we just beat the boss, got a whole bunch of cool shiny stuff. God, the animation quality in this game and the sound design is so awesome. The game just feels cooler and cooler and cooler as you go through it. It's got a nice cool factor to it, which I think a lot of games are missing. And a lot of games suffer from the front loading problem, where they introduce all the cool stuff early on and make sure you don't refund the game, but then they fail to make the late game interesting because they've already exhausted all their resources and ideas early on. I feel like Dead Cells is literally the opposite, and a very welcome change. I feel like Dead Cells gets better and better the more you play it, as opposed to worse and worse, which a lot of games suffer from. And that's the great thing about a progressive game like this, at least in terms of like the first, you know, 5 or 6 or 8 hours or whatever I've played. So there's always a feeling of like improving in this game, finding the next cool thing, and just feeling like you're getting better over time. Once again, the music is kick-ass. There are some hidden gems here, little secret passageways and runes you can find, or glyphs I think they're called. Haven't found any yet, but they will access different areas, secret areas, give you some additional items and whatnot. This level seems to be much more in depth than the prior levels. So there's the secret I was talking about. Get yourself a little bit of a chicken drumstick in the corner of the wall. That must be fresh. Oh god. Let's go, come on, let's go! Heck yeah. Alright, we are rolling in the dough right now. Oh my gosh. Heck yeah. Not a bad little run we got going on here. Ah, there's the, looks like maybe the final boss. We desperately need to find a shop though and get some health. Oh no, that's bad. Oh! So there it is, guys, there's Dead Cells. Fantastic indie gem that I would recommend you pick up if you enjoy these kind of repetition-based roguelike Metroidvania games. It's not for everyone. You're gonna get bored from time to time. The procedural generation doesn't work 100% right, but it's for the most part, it's really, really good. A lot of diversity. Great times to be had with Dead Cells. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and thumbs it up and subscribe here for more of our future content, as well as let me know if you guys like these new style of videos where I just take a look at a game, play along with you guys, edit the footage down so it's interesting, and talk to you about the game while I'm playing it, as well as maybe recommend some games to check out in that style. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in our next video. Peace, love, and happiness until then.